So not the Barbs coming after me for what I said about Nicki Minaj. Here's the thing. If you missed it, what I basically said was Nicki Minaj's response to Meg Thee Stallion's verse, right, that may or may not have been directed towards her, was just a tad bit unhinged and represented a need for Nicki to perhaps do the work. For the sake of clarification, as a therapist, I'm always going to recommend that people do the work. But primarily, when you are coming out and you going at all the people all the time, I'm really going to say you have shown us your level of unhealedness. So for the people who have asserted that I have done something wrong by outing Nicki Minaj, first of all, I want to say I am not Nicki Minaj's therapist. I am not Meg Thee Stallion's therapist. As a therapist, I want to address any of my clients' issues on a public forum. And I'm offering an opinion. I'm offering an opinion that is a bit of an educated opinion, but it's opinion nonetheless, that in our community, we have to hold each other accountable and point out when it may be time for us to do the work. So here's what I want to say to that. As someone on the outside looking in, right, I've already said that I'm kind of old, right? I'm 53 years old, so I may not understand or jive with the music, although I have been a Nicki fan. I've been a fan of her music. I said that the bars weren't hitting, and I understand, I'm real big on analogies and wordplay. That's kind of my thing. I get it, she lied to the Lion King and Gayle King and then the son, which is Simba, and I get it. I'm just saying, putting that aside, which is basically, that's more of a subjective opinion, right? A subjective opinion, and all opinions are subjective. But this wasn't a space where I needed to be objective. I didn't need to be objective here. I was just sharing my thoughts as someone with my credentials, and I still stand besides that. I still stand behind that. And what I'll say to that is, if you look at publicly how Meg has navigated this with her Cobra album, and obviously she had a bunch of songs on there, right? The song about anxiety and what she's been dealing with, what she's been struggling with, that she's gone to therapy, she's working in therapy. She's been sharing a lot of messaging about mental health. She's been doing the work on her physical health. She's been working out. She's been taking people along on that ride. And what she did with Hiss, if you listen to the beginning of Hiss, listen at the beginning where she says, I'm going to say this thing. Y'all been playing, pretty much. I'm paraphrasing. Y'all been playing. But now, I'm going to let you know. Stop messing with me. She said what she said, and then she was done with it. That's a good boundary. That's a great boundary. And so for the people who are saying, well, what about Meg? She started it. She said blah, blah, blah. Okay, so for everything that I know about this situation, what Meg was doing was she was letting you know, stop playing with her. For those of you who are in similar situations, it's okay to let people know, stop playing with me. It's okay to establish a healthy boundary, even if you have to cut somebody out a little bit to do it. It's okay to call people out as you are calling them up. Now, what I hope for Nicki Minaj is that she does the work. And what do I mean by doing the work? I mean uncovering all of the things that allow you to be that triggered, that allow you to go on these rants. And this isn't the first time that Nicki's done this. This isn't the first time that she's come off as a mean girl. Right? It's not the first time. And you can say, well, this is not the first time that Meg's done XYZ or Meg's lied or Meg's done whatever. But this was such a public and such a hard hit. For those of you who are saying, well, you must not know hip hop. Honey, I was born a year to hip hop. I'm the same age as hip hop. I know hip hop. I remember singing Rapper's Delight on the playground when I was in the freaking 3rd grade. I know hip hop. I know beefs. What I also know is, as women, as men, as a culture, we can afford to not be as cruel to each other as we have been. So just because it's a norm of the experience, does that mean we need to continue to perpetuate that? Does that mean that we should say to our children, you know what? You get the opportunity to hit below the belt. You know what? They used to play your mama jokes. Come on now. We didn't do your mama when your mama is dead. And you've actively, you have asserted how much of a pain point that is for you. So for those of you who are justifying Nicki's behavior because, well, that's what you would do as well. I am saying, and I'm not going to say it as a therapist. I'm going to say it as a grown woman, as an elder, so to speak, that we have to do better. We have to do better. You can't tell me she couldn't come up with a better, clever, less offensive bar. She didn't have to go to her trauma. I think that's part of the issue, right? We've gotten so far removed. And I know, like I'm back in the days of Ice Cube and no Vaseline. Come on now, I know that they've been hidden. But just because it's always been done, does that mean that it's the thing that we should do? Does that mean that for the young women who watch Nicki and Meg, like, yo? So someone asked me as God girl, and I believe that Nicki Minaj also professes to be a God girl. Obviously, you know, she called out her prayer warriors, but they asked me as a God girl, how did I feel about WAP? I'll tell you initially, and this is gonna speak to my age probably. I was very disappointed when WAP first came out because I was hoping that there was going to be a song of like female empowerment. You know, because I was like, you got Cardi, you got Meg together. This could be a whole thing. And then I had to step back and go, okay, this is not their thing, right? And the court, you know, obviously they could do whatever they want to do. But sometimes female empowerment looks like WAP. So was I a personal fan of WAP when it first came out? No. Did I sing WAP as it was out? Mm-hmm. But I don't think that we have to be so one-dimensional in our walk with anything, right? I think that for Nicki Minaj, who has done a couple gospel songs, right? I think she did a song with Tasha Cobbs, right? Like you just got to do better. There's a different expectation than to go that low. So that's my main concern with that. It's like, and the fact that Nicki came out and went that low did not represent a tough guy thing to me. Like she was just defending herself and being tough and you know, she had to come out and let her know. No, it looked like she was unhinged emotionally. And if you want to counter that, again, just look at the stories. When the stories, listen to her voice in the stories. Like, and then tell me that sounds like somebody who should have been on live. That should have happened off camera. She should have processed what she was going through. She should have gotten level-headed, and then she should have responded. And had she responded with something that was clever, like she's hitting on some things, and then I think we still waiting on a response to Sheether. Am I right? Did she ever respond to that? If I'm wrong, somebody let me know, because I may be wrong. And maybe that was a culmination of her just being tired of being called out and or whatever. But you've got to allow yourself time to tap out sometime and get yourself together. And that's all I was saying that Nicki should have done. That's all.